it's Alicia, and I am back in Montreal. As you can see, we are back in my pink room. However, this video was filmed in New York. Also, I will be uploading the last video I filmed in New York next week, and to give you a little hint, it has something to do with this top. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how I made this ruffled crossover blouse. I hope you enjoy! I got 1 meter of this lightweight fabric so that the blouse is extra flowy and perfect for summer. For the front, try on a t-shirt and mark where you want the shirt to overlap. Transfer these markings onto the fabric. Cut out the front piece and make sure to add ½ inch of seam allowance while you cut. For the other half of the front, flip the piece you just cut to create a symmetrical piece. Trace it and cut it out. Now when we lay the pieces on top of each other, the front piece is complete. Use the same shirt you used to trace the front for the back. Trace it and cut it out, and don't forget to leave ½ inch of seam allowance. Next we're going to make the darts. The first line will be 1 inch below the armpit seam and 4.5 inches to the right of the armpit seam. The second line starts an inch below the first marking, and connect it to the other line to make a triangle. Trace the middle of the triangle and fold it in half. Sew it by following the line. Always tie a couple of knots to finish the end of a dart. Adding a dart will make the top hug your body better. Now place the front and back piece right sides together and sew the shoulder seams. Lock in the stitches by backstitching. To hide the raw edges and to have a clean finish, cut one of the edges in half. Use the long edge and fold it down twice and lay it flat on the fabric. Pin it down and sew as close as possible to the edge. It should look like this. Next I'm going to make the ruffles by cutting the fabric in a spiral shape. This was my first time trying this technique to make ruffles, and it didn't really come out as I wanted it to. But basically I drew a 3-inch wide circle and added 3 inches all around as the circle grew bigger. After that I just cut it by following the curves. This didn't ruffle as much as I wanted it to, so I decided to gather it a bit. To do this, sew a basting stitch, which is a long straight stitch. To add ruffles, take one of the threads and gently pull on it to gather the fabric. Do this until the ruffles fit all across the front and overlaps the neckline. To attach the ruffles, place the right side of the ruffles to the wrong side of the shirt. Pin it down perpendicularly to the fabric and sew it down. When you flip the ruffles to the right side, the raw edges are hidden. Pin down all of the ruffles and top stitch the edge so that the ruffles will stay in front. Next, hem the edges of the ruffles by folding them down twice. Curves are a little harder to hem, so make sure to take your time for this step. Sew the sides of the two front pieces together by top stitching them. Fold your fabric in half to make the flowy sleeves. Place the tip of the sleeve 2 inches below the fold of the fabric and add another 2 inches under the sleeve. Mark these points and trace the sleeve. I am freehanding the curve of the sleeve, but make sure both ends have a 90-degree angle. Use the sleeve you just cut and flip it to trace a symmetrical piece. This will be the other sleeve. Now we have all of the pieces cut out, it's time to attach the sleeves to the shirt. Place them right sides together and carefully pin it down. Sew it in about 1/2 inch. To hide the raw edges, use the same technique as the shoulder seam. Cut one of the edges in half and fold down the larger seam twice and pin it down flat onto the fabric. It gives it a clean and strong seam. Flip the top inside out so that they are right sides together and sew the sides. When you get to the armpit seam, bring your needle down, lift the presser foot, rotate the fabric, lower the foot, and continue sewing. I'm going to finish off the edges a bit differently this time. Fold both of the edges towards the inside and pin them together. Do this all the way down the sides and it should look like this. Hem all of the raw edges with a skinny double hem. Flip the fabric inside out and fold the edges twice and sew it down. Since it was hidden, I completely forgot to hem the inside of the second layer, so I'm going to add bias tape. Cut 1 inch out of the remaining fabric, put the right side of the strip to the wrong side of the fabric, pin it and sew it down 1/2 inch. Bring the bias tape up and fold it down twice to hide the raw edge. And for the ends, cut the extra fabric off, fold it in, and hide the raw edges the same way as before. Try on the top and mark where you want the overlap to start. I'm using mini snap buttons to hold them together. Mark where you want them to be and hand sew them on. And for the top piece, make sure to move the ruffle out of the way while hand sewing the button on. The final step is to add a tiny bow to the side. Cut a strip of fabric that is 1 inch by 20 inches. Fold it in half with the right sides touching and sew the edges together. Use a tiny safety pin to flip the bow inside out. tie a tiny bow and hand sew it to the end of the ruffle. And we're done!